Okay, hi everybody. Let me see if I can get started. This is day 1060. 1060 days. See if I can go on here. Since Richard vanished. I don't see myself yet. Did I push start? Yep, it should be working. Everything, can you hear me? Okay, so let's see if I'm on. Yep, I see myself. Okay, great. Turn it down. Okay, so now I can see all the comments. Okay, hi everyone. This is 1060 days, 1060 days since Richard went missing. And we have now a confession. I'm just going to tell you the big news. The big news. The really big news is that we continue to get silence, which is not protocol, y'all, from all of the inquiries and requests that we are putting in. Very few of them, very few, if any, get answered. And you know, there's this group um, that are set out to sabotage the search for Richard. They don't want us to find Richard's remains. Okay, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And it, there's this group, and they'll be like, these autopsy numbers. Those autopsy numbers aren't real autopsy numbers. I called or whatever. Number one, you cannot call Mexico uh, for those for to get answers on an autopsy and an autopsy number. Okay. Um, Also, our request is has nothing to do with the autopsy numbers. Our request is we would like to have all of the autopsies that have been performed in relation to Richard Halliday's case. That's our request. It has nothing to do with the numbers. We're releasing the numbers to you, to the public, but we want any and all reports of autopsies that have been conducted in relation to Richard's case, and also all warrants of searches of houses in relations to Richard's case, um, and more, and more. And we're getting silence. Why can't they just say zero? Because they can't even answer. And not being able to answer shows a real problem. And they're having a bigger problem now. They're having a big problem now because we now have one of our primary suspects confessing that the command there at Fort Bliss greenlit the murder of Richard. That the command knew before Richard was tortured and murdered and dismembered that this is premeditated, and they greenlit it. They greenlit the murder of Richard Halliday, the whistleblower. The whistleblower. And this is another thing. Why can't they tell us um, what's in the Child Protective Service complaints that Richard made? What's in the CID complaint that Richard made? Why can't they? The silence is deafening. Why can't they tell us who is in these sex videos that Richard turned in? You know, um, Why can't they answer officially? Hold a press conference. This is a missing soldier, a missing whistleblower. Hold a press conference and let us know. Tell the public. Tell the public that the command at Fort Bliss is not implicated in Richard Halliday's murder, because we have a confession by a prime suspect that says that the command greenlit the murder of Richard. In so many words. That they were involved. The institution was aware that they were premeditating Richard's murder. If that's not enough for a live stream on Find Richard Halliday, if that's not enough, we have so much, and we're adding to it, adding to it, and adding to it, because we have more now. It's not, and I'm like, should I hold this off for tomorrow? No way. As soon as I get this information, I share it. Okay, if I'm at liberty to share it, I share it. Because Team Find Richard Halliday are now in possession of weapons by primary suspects, sometimes borrowed. Weapons that are so sharp, they're not for looks. They're huge. They're meant to slice a person open, cut a person apart. That's what these weapons are made for. They are for slicing open, cutting apart, and they're big and they're very sharp, and they're not for just fantasy swords. They're not fantasy swords or ceremonial weapons. They're not that. Well, maybe they are a ceremonial weapon. The way these sex cults are coming through. The way the sex cults are coming through, and our 44 four-star generals and admirals have been green-lighting it. They've been green-lighting this wave of suicide, this wave of sexual assault, this wave of letting the barracks, for many, many years, barracks be a marketplace for illegal drugs, and they've gotten away with it. They've gotten away with harming the mental state of our volunteer sons and daughters. They've gotten away with sending them to unjust wars. They've gotten away with committing crimes against humanity against them. They've gotten away with all of this destruction of our country. And demanding at the same time let me see. I'm going to have to hold on. Tell my mom that was my mama. I'll call her right back. Are you okay? Live streaming? Call you back? Okay. Maybe she's trying to tell me something about my live stream. Okay. So we'll see how she answers that. Always feel free to call. Always feel free to call, and even to come on. Feel free. And I really invite Leilani Hart. I invite Leilani Hart to come on here and clarify what is going on, because we have so much information, confessions of her household raping a 7-year old with another child there too, younger child, in her master bedroom. We have confession that her son, First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, I believe, platoon leader of Delta Battery 143, um, engaged in incestuous relationships. Um, we have this information that in her household is child pornography, long periods of time with child pornography. Also, that she waited almost 2 years before she reported this stuff, um, and then she had it notarized. And she should come on here and clarify that, because that is so criminal. That's so criminal, and um, I yeah, it makes me speechless, because why is that? Why is nothing being done? And the leaks. So yeah, we have two new big things, big pieces of evidence for Richard's case now. One, a confession by a primary suspect, and let me text my mom right back. Okay. Okay. So we have a testimony, a confession by a prime suspect saying that the leadership there at Fort Bliss is implicated by green lighting, by being fully aware that there was a premeditation to murder Richard. And they allowed it to happen. And I think it might be even worse. The other one is that we have now pictures of weapons by prime suspects, of swords that are, you have to remember we have it all covered. We have a person, a suspect that is connected to the what do you call it? I'm losing my train of thought. Um, the mortuary affairs. We have a suspect that has training in surgical skills. We have those that are in communications that are participating in this. We have now leadership that has been implicated in covering this up. We have motive because Richard is a whistleblower. We have unanswered requests. We have a CID Quantico that is not doing their job that was mandated for them to do by this new Norma Torres's. I'm getting all these text messages. I'm trying to do two things at one time. her legislation that put that in. This is, we had a meeting. Okay, so then, because, listen to this. This is also something new. Yellow Interpol. Yellow Interpol. I'm writing it down because it is so important to wrap our heads around this Yellow Interpol that was put forth starting at the beginning of September and through the 15th of September. Um, Died while missing. I'm writing it all down because I'm trying to get while missing. We have no evidence of an outreach to the El Paso police. I don't know if y'all remember this, but way back when we would call the El Paso Police Department even before the CID came back in, right? And put Richard back on the rolls supposedly. I don't trust anything they say because it needs to be all in paperwork for me. Um because they've lied so many times, so many times. They've lied to us. They've betrayed us. You know, it's it's like when you're in a marriage and you're being cheated on, you're being cheated on, you're being cheated on. You know, how many times are you going to take the abuse? This is what this is. This is just an abuse of a relationship. We've always had a relationship with the military. And they've betrayed us, and over again, they are lying to us, and we're catching them in the lies. And to wrap your head around this Yellow Interpol, where they used a doctored or a manipulated picture of Richard for that Yellow Interpol that came into being at the beginning of September 2020. 2020, okay? That's what I'm talking about. So Richard goes missing July 23rd, 2020. Okay. What is the protocol? Someone help me out. What is the protocol? When do they call family? When do they look around, they call some buddies, they call some family? Probably day 1. So July 24th, they should have been like, hey, we can't get in touch with family. We can't get any answers from friends. Okay, so July 25th, we need to contact the command. Let's contact the command. Hey, command, we have a missing soldier. We don't have the right number for the family. Um, and the friends aren't answering us. What do we do now? Well, then the next protocol is to reach out to the military police, to El Paso Police Department, the rest of the law enforcement community. But what happens? Richard's search gets called off. Richard's search gets called off. It had to have been called off, I would say, at around July 26th, 25th, 26th, because nothing more happened. No El Paso. We were calling. They were like, he's out of our jurisdiction. No, it can't happen. Right? No, we can't help you. He's not in our jurisdiction. That's not right. That's absolutely not right. We call the Texas Rangers. We call the sheriffs. Nope, we can't help you. That's in CID jurisdiction. Well, CID doesn't want to help us. Oh, well, go fly a kite. But no, then that means that they called off the search. You see? And nothing happened between July 26th and August 28th. Nothing. August 28th, 2020. That's when things started happening because Rob called a crying, upset, rattled, emotionally rattled. What are we doing to our captains that they have to be emotionally rattled because of a missing soldier? Captain Yoshida was emotionally not okay. All right, that's on August 28th. Where is that AWOL paper? Where is that? Because look, Richard, then August. Okay, so that was a Friday. August 28th was a Friday. So Monday, work day. What are you going to do on a work day? You're going to contact Interpol because you have a search that you called off. What are you going to do with a search that has been called off? I don't even know. Because this is where Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz could answer this because he told Team Fine Richard Halliday that he did not even know there was a missing soldier, that there was a deserter, that there was an AWOL soldier. He didn't even know. He's Command Sergeant Major, partner with Clem Coward, Major General Clem Coward. He says he doesn't even know. Was he lying? He might not have been lying. We called him out on that, but maybe he was revealing a different truth. That they called off the search of Richard. They called off everything of Richard. Where is the AWOL paper? When was the AWOL paper done? Was it done on the 31st? Was the AWOL, I'm not talking about the deserter. I'm talking about the AWOL. On the 31st of August, 2020? I think something was going on here because why would they put in a yellow Interpol? Legally, I'm thinking legally, all legally in my head. You can put in a yellow Interpol um, either for two reasons. One, because they had found Richard's remains in Mexico, but they didn't want to highlight that they found Richard's remains in Mexico already. That they had found Richard's remains at Rio Red, right? Um, that they and at that time, I think that's where the remains were at Rio Red and in Mexico, and then later on at 244. And I believe there's another place. Well, FBI man says they were looking in 5 places. So were there 5 places? Um, we have two findings at Red Rio Range. Does that count for 5 places? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is when did they finally do the paperwork for the AWOL? Because it looks like they were covering up the murder of Richard, because the leadership is now implicated in the murder of the planning, the premeditation of the murder of Richard. And so then they find the remains, and they don't want to do anything. They just want to just be silent. And when we called, then they had to do something. But for the protocol not to be followed, they had to order it to cease. They had to order it to cease on around the 26th of July, 2020. That way, nobody would be called, not the El Paso police. They wouldn't get involved, not the military police. They wouldn't get involved, not the borders, not the Texas Rangers. Not anyone would be called to help find a soldier. And neither would the media. The media wouldn't even be used. But see, the 31st, did they finally do an AWOL on that day? And because that AWOL was not 30 days, they put the yellow Interpol in because they had stopped the search. How can they do a red Interpol? How can they issue warrants? I mean, they must have been scrambling. They must have been scrambling. We were scrambling. We were in the middle of Hell Week. We were calling everyone. We were organizing an online presence. We were calling all our friends all around the world. We were calling and submitting missing persons reports with our congressman, with our whoever would listen. My dad was walking into NCIC, what is it, the Navy CID equivalent, trying to make a report. I mean, we were in Hell Week. We were scrambling. They must have been really scrambling, because this stuff, the only way to make sense of it is high crime, premeditation, murder, cover up, dismemberment, cover up, cover up, cover up. By the command, cover up. By the CID, cover up. By the military police, cover up. In as far as from the guard mount, to give false information to our service members that claim to be law enforcement officers or law enforcement soldiers. They were hoodwinked. They were used. They were absolutely used, and they were trained wrong, because they're not even trained to discern properly, because they could be hoodwinked so easily by their guard mount, because the retaliation is so great if you question the lack of protocol, the lack of what is right. You know, if you have a soldier that they claim is a criminal, then you really need to find them, right? You really need to find them. But the yellow Interpol is very telling. And why did they have to use a altered photograph? So the what it screams out is that the search for Richard had been canceled, ordered to be canceled. Okay, so if that's not enough, I have more. I have more. On the 28th of September, let's make sure. Yep, the 28th of September. So we arrived the 26th of September. The 2 days later, we have Danae Katzen calling us up. Danae Katzen tells us her con story. And it's a con. She's a con artist. We have loads. She has a long record now. She's a credit card con artist. You know, is she has she been found guilty? I don't know. Her trials, they extend them, and then dismiss them and extend them, and I don't know. It's just a mess. It's a mess. But anyway, so she tells us her story, and nothing happens. We turn it in. We're trusting her. She totally hoodwinked us. We're like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Um, we turn it in. That we get no response again from CID. So we call her back. She agrees to meet with us on the 12th of October. She meets us at KTSM, Channel 9. And she gives an interview. And in that interview, and we're not alone. And so we took all of our notes and put it all on record. The meeting and also the interview with Natasha Paloma, and we record everything. Okay. So, what does she say in that? She says that she wanted to go to the El Paso police to make a report that a soldier she thought had Richard's credit card, that he made sexual advances to her, that not only that, but that he was harassing her, that he was, following her, that she even suspected him of letting out her horses, that um, uh, she even had to quit her job because he was stalking her. He had a weapon on his back seat of his vehicle, and there was all this discussion about killing, and she felt like he was a threat. Okay, that he was a threat, and she, and this is how emotional everything was. But she said that she went to the El Paso, no, that she couldn't go to or she contacted El Paso Police Department, and they redirected her to the CID. That because it was a soldier, it was a CID. Now, does that make sense? The El Paso, what's going on here? You can't go to the El Paso Police Department if you're a civilian and a soldier is stalking you? That should have been red flags for us right at the beginning. Um, anyway, but see, the thing is when you're emotional like that, why didn't the CID? Why didn't the El Paso police? Because she was on KTSM. Why didn't someone help us? Why didn't someone help us with that information? They knew that she was a con artist, that she had a record, she couldn't be trusted, that she is, we have information that she knows prime suspects in this case. that they're very connected. They're very connected. And that they worship together. Oh my. Okay. Um if all that is not enough, so we've got pictures of weapons. We've implicated the command there, that they knew about the premeditation organization to kill Richard. Um, we have this is it a puzzle? It seems to only be speaking one way, that they closed down Richard's search, and when we called, they had to rush around. They put in that yellow Interpol, and that it was weird. And so there was some collusion going on inside the CID. Was it Tavita Nusa? Was it Ron Steeg? Was it? I mean, there's so many possibilities. There's so many possibilities. Um, and so Friday, General McConville was in El Paso. And, and where is Corcherga, I heard, got an award because she cares for Hispanics. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Um, I think it's quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. So McConville was there in El Paso, and we didn't know that. And we did not know that. God knew it, though. And God had us submit those inquiries. And those inquiries are powerful. Let me see if I have them to read to you. Oh, if you haven't been on the Telegram Find Richard Halliday, you need to go there because there's so much going on. So October 12th was the interview at KTSM, and then October 26th is FBI Man. I have that here too. Oh, yeah, Corinne. Corinne. She's like, oh, I told my Spanish-speaking friend to call Mexico. This woman's daughter knows one of the prime suspects. That's all involved in that. There's more to it. And then she's the one I'm laughing because she's the one that tried to convince everybody that we knew where Richard was, all behind the scenes. Terrible, terrible obstruction of justice. Also, because we don't know where Richard is. And then she also said that the FBI man, when we had the video, she said he was pushing up his mask. And I'm like, no. Yes, he's pushing up his mask. He's pushing up his mask. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I zoomed in and did the video of him clearly going like this. Shh, shh, shh. Anyway. So anybody that believes her at this point, and it doesn't even matter about the autopsy numbers. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter because that's not in our inquiry. Our inquiry is we would like all the autopsies that have been performed that is in connection with Richard Halliday's investigation. Now, how hard is it to say we don't have any? But you see, there's 3 out there. We want to know. We want to get to the truth. We want to verify everything. And we have a $1 trillion DOD that doesn't want to do its job. They want all the funding. They want all the respect. They want our beautiful uniforms. They want all the stars and stripes. They want the big teams, right? The big units, the big staffs, they want all of the privileges. And then they want the respect. They want, the respect. They want all of that. Yet they don't want to answer. Yay or nay? So I'm going to let y'all go. I will be back. Okay, I'm going to let you go. I need to get these calls. All right.